Lena had been homeless for nearly 2 years, wandering the quieter streets of the city with nothing but a worn backpack and an old coat that barely kept out the cold. Most days she remained invisible, a forgotten shadow among hurried crowds. But that afternoon, as she passed a residential block filled with laughter and cooking smells, something sharp hit her senses, thick smoke curling from the window of an aging apartment building. People shouted, some recording with phones, but no one stepped forward. Lena didn't think. She simply ran toward the fire, driven by instincts she didn't know she still possessed. The smoke thickened as she pushed her way into the stairwell, where it became clear the fire had started on the second floor. Flames crackled behind a half-collapsed door, and muffled cries seeped through the burning wood. Lena covered her mouth with her sleeve and forced the door open with her shoulder, the searing heat stinging her skin instantly. Inside, a small child huddled under a table, crying for his mother. The ceiling above him had begun to sag with the weight of fire. Lena stumbled forward, calling softly to calm him as she wrapped him in her coat. The moment she lifted him, part of the ceiling gave way with a violent crash, showering sparks across the room. Lena shielded the boy with her body and sprinted back toward the door, her lungs screaming for air. The hallway was now a tunnel of smoke, but she kept moving, relying on sound and memory. With each step, the child tightened his grip around her neck, trembling uncontrollably. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, she burst out of the building, collapsing on the pavement as firefighters rushed in to take the boy from her arms. The crowd erupted with gasps and cheers, though Lena was barely conscious of the noise. Her clothes were singed, her face streaked with soot, but she forced herself up long enough to make sure the boy was safe. Paramedics checked her for burns, urging her to go with them, but she refused. She wasn't used to attention or care. Survival had taught her to disappear quickly. As soon as the child was secured, Lena stepped back into the shadows. Before anyone could stop her, she picked up her backpack and slipped away down the street. She walked aimlessly for nearly an hour, coughing from the smoke, her muscles aching from the effort. Her hands shook, partly from adrenaline and partly from fear of questions she didn't want to answer. She had no idea that the moment she vanished, the scene behind her erupted into confusion. The mother screamed for the woman who had saved her son, demanding someone find her. Firefighters tried retracing her steps, but witnesses only gave vague descriptions. None knew her name, none knew where she lived. And yet, someone very important was already looking. Miles away inside a towering glass building, CEO Marcus Hale was in the middle of a board meeting when his assistant rushed in, pale and trembling. He whispered something urgently into Marcus's ear. Without hesitation, Marcus stood, ending the meeting abruptly to the shock of his executives. He grabbed his coat and hurried toward the elevator, his expression hardening with every step. Minutes later, he was in his car, ordering his driver to head straight to the burning building. No one understood why the city's youngest self-made millionaire cared so deeply. Marcus wasn't explaining, he was searching. By the time Marcus arrived, the fire was mostly contained. He stepped out of the car, ignoring cameras and reporters, and pushed past the remaining crowd. When he spotted the mother clutching her rescued son, he approached her gently. "Where is she?" he asked urgently. "The woman who saved him, where did she go?" The mother shook her head, explaining that the woman had disappeared before she could say thank you. Marcus's jaw tightened. His assistant showed firefighters a picture on his phone, but none recognized the woman. Marcus felt a mix of panic and determination. He had to find her. For the next hour, Marcus scanned the surrounding streets on foot, questioning shopkeepers and bystanders. Some described seeing a woman in a torn coat, moving quickly as if trying to avoid attention. Marcus recognized the description instantly. He had been searching for that same woman for weeks. Not because she saved a child today, but because she had unknowingly changed his life long before the fire. She didn't know him, yet he had been desperate to find her. But now urgency drove him harder. If she was hurt from the fire, she might be alone and in danger. Meanwhile, Lena wandered toward a quiet park, her legs nearly giving out beneath her. She sank onto a bench, coughing until tears ran down her soot-stained cheeks. She wasn't afraid of dying in the fire. She was afraid of what came after, the questions, the attention, the exposure of a past she didn't want anyone to know. So she did what she always did, she hid. She didn't realize the city's wealthiest man was racing across neighborhoods, searching for her as though she were the most important person in the world. Marcus continued his search, checking alleys, shelters, even small diners where homeless individuals sometimes found warmth. He instructed his driver to circle the area slowly while he searched on foot. His assistant called frantically, telling him this was dangerous and unnecessary, but Marcus ignored him. He remembered the day he first saw her, Lena, though he didn't know her name then, quietly handing her only meal to an elderly man on the street. Marcus had watched from a distance, stunned. A woman with nothing had given away everything. He never forgot her. Back on the bench, Lena closed her eyes, exhausted. A light drizzle began to fall, cooling her burned skin. She pulled her coat tighter, though it was charred and full of holes. She wondered about the child she saved, hoping he would be okay. It had been years since she'd done something that mattered. Before life fell apart, she had once dreamed of helping people, perhaps becoming a nurse. But dreams felt useless when survival was all that remained. Still, she felt a quiet warmth knowing she had saved a life today. Marcus checked the last shelter on the street, frustration tightening his chest. He feared she had collapsed somewhere or was hurt worse than she let on. Then he spotted something. A trail of faint soot marks on the pavement leading toward a small park. He didn't know if it was from her, but he followed anyway. As he walked, memories surfaced. Him trying to find her after witnessing her kindness, his promise to help her no matter what, and his regret for not approaching her sooner. Now fate had forced his hand. In the park, Lena shivered as the drizzle turned into steady rain. She stood up, steadying herself against the bench, planning to look for a dry spot under a bridge. But as she stepped forward, her vision blurred. The smoke she inhaled earlier had taken its toll. She stumbled, nearly falling to the ground. That was when headlights illuminated the pathway, followed by hurried footsteps. Lena tried to steady herself, but the world spun. She barely heard someone call out, a deep voice full of urgency and relief. "Wait, please, don't move," Marcus shouted as he ran toward her. Lena looked up, confused, not recognizing him at first. To her, he was just another stranger. But Marcus felt like he was seeing a miracle. "You're the woman from the fire," he said breathlessly. She tried to shrug, brushing it off, insisting she was fine, but she swayed again. Without hesitation, Marcus stepped forward and caught her by the shoulders, guiding her gently toward a drier spot under a tree. His eyes softened with concern. "You saved a child today. Let me help you now." Lena stiffened, pulling back slightly. "I don't need help," she whispered, her voice raspy. Marcus shook his head. "You do. You inhaled too much smoke. You're injured. You shouldn't be alone." Lena studied his expensive coat, his polished shoes, the worry in his eyes. She didn't trust wealthy people. They rarely showed genuine concern. "Why do you care?" she asked weakly. Marcus hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "Because this isn't the first time I saw you," he said quietly. "And I've been looking for you for a long time." Rain fell harder, soaking them both. Lena blinked in confusion. "Looking for me? Why?" Marcus gently guided her to sit on the nearby bench. He crouched in front of her, his expression earnest. "Weeks ago, you gave away your meal to an elderly man outside my office tower. You didn't know anyone was watching. I couldn't believe someone with so little could give so much." Lena frowned. She didn't even remember the moment. Kindness had become a habit, even in hardship. But Marcus had remembered every detail. "I wanted to help you then," he added softly. "But I couldn't find you," Marcus continued. "You disappeared before I reached the street. Since that day, I've been searching, checking shelters, asking around. Not to pity you, but because I saw something rare. Today, when I heard a homeless woman saved a child from a burning building, I prayed it wasn't you, and then I prayed it was, so I could finally find you." Lena stared at him, overwhelmed and confused. No one had spoken to her like this in years. No one had looked for her. No one had wanted to. She tried to dismiss his words, insisting he'd mistaken her for someone else, but Marcus gently shook his head. "It was you," he said with quiet certainty. "I'd know your face anywhere." Emotion tightened Lena's throat. She wanted to run, to hide, to escape the vulnerability pressing into her chest, but her body refused. Marcus studied her shaking hands. You're freezing. Let me take you to a hospital. Lena tensed. Hospitals meant paperwork, identity checks, questions she wasn't ready to answer. No hospitals, she said firmly. Please. Marcus nodded, respecting her fear. All right, then let me take you somewhere warm. No pressure, no questions. She hesitated, torn between survival instincts and the unexpected gentleness in his voice. Rain dripped from her hair, mixing with soot on her cheeks. Marcus removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders despite her protest. You saved a life, he said. You deserve at least warmth. Lena stared at the coat, too tired to argue. Slowly, she nodded. Marcus exhaled in relief and helped her stand. His driver hurried over with an umbrella, clearly shocked to see Marcus soaked and guiding a homeless woman as if she were royalty. Marcus opened the car door gently, helping Lena inside. She sank into the plush seat, trembling. The warmth felt unreal. She watched Marcus climb in beside her instead of returning to the front. He didn't want her feeling alone, not even for a second. During the ride, Lena remained quiet, staring out the window, overwhelmed. Marcus didn't speak either, giving her the space she needed. They arrived at Marcus's penthouse, a modern, warm space filled with soft lights and quiet calm. Lena hesitated at the threshold, afraid to dirty the spotless floor. Marcus reassured her with a gentle smile. You're safe here. She stepped inside slowly, feeling out of place among luxury. Marcus guided her to a soft chair near the fireplace. The heat enveloped her instantly, easing her trembling. He brought her water, and a blanket, careful not to overwhelm her. Lena's eyes softened despite herself. She couldn't remember the last time someone treated her like a human being. As she warmed up, Marcus carefully examined her burned hands. You're hurt, he murmured. Let me call someone. A private doctor, no hospital. She reluctantly agreed. Within minutes, a discreet doctor arrived, treating her burns gently and ensuring she hadn't inhaled dangerous levels of smoke. Lena remained tense, but Marcus stayed nearby, offering quiet reassurance. The doctor left medication and instructions before departing. You're lucky she found you, the doctor told Marcus. Marcus shook his head softly. I'm the lucky one. Lena was stunned by the kindness she'd received. Sitting in the warm glow of the fireplace, she finally allowed herself to relax. Marcus sat across from her, not wanting to intrude. After a long silence, Lena whispered, Why does someone like you care about someone like me? Marcus leaned forward slightly. Because I see who you are, not what the world sees. You're brave, selfless, and stronger than you realize. And today, you risked everything for a child you didn't know. His words felt unreal, almost impossible, yet deeply sincere. Marcus then made her an offer, not of charity, but of opportunity. I want to help you rebuild. Only if you want to, he said. A place to stay, a chance to start fresh. No conditions, no expectations. Lena stared at him, tears burning her eyes. No one had ever offered her anything without wanting something in return. She felt exposed, vulnerable, terrified. But she also felt hope, a fragile, unfamiliar spark. Why me? She whispered again. Marcus smiled softly. Because you deserve it, and because the world needs more people like you. For the first time in years, Lena allowed herself to imagine a life beyond survival, warmth, safety, perhaps even purpose. Marcus assured her she could stay as long as she needed, with complete freedom. You're not trapped, he said kindly. You're free to choose what happens next. Lena nodded slowly, absorbing his words. The night outside darkened, but inside the penthouse, the fire cast a gentle glow over her tired face. She felt the weight of her past slowly lifting, replaced by something lighter. In the following days, Lena recovered under Marcus's quiet care. He arranged new clothes, warm meals, and a therapist who specialized in helping individuals rebuild after trauma, someone who treated Lena with respect. Lena slowly opened up about her past. Losing her job, losing her home, losing the belief that she mattered. Marcus listened without judgment. You mattered every single day, he said gently. The world just forgot to remind you. She began to believe him, piece by fragile piece. Soon Lena expressed a desire to work again, something meaningful. Marcus smiled. I thought you might say that. He had already prepared opportunities. training programs, volunteer options at hospitals, even an apprenticeship if she chose nursing. Lena felt overwhelmed but hopeful. She chose to start small, volunteering to help families in crisis. She realized helping others healed her too. Marcus supported her quietly, proud of every step she took toward reclaiming her life. Weeks later, at a small community center where Lena volunteered, the same child she had saved ran into her arms, calling her a hero. His mother hugged her tightly, thanking her over and over. Lena's eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of joy. Marcus watched from a distance, his heart full. The homeless woman the world ignored had become the hero of two families, one she rescued from flames, and one that rescued her from loneliness. And for the first time in years, Lena knew she was exactly where she was meant to be.